Dexcom U. What is that, Steve? Well, we're going to get into it today and talking with two members of Dexcom U who are people living with type 1 diabetes, college athletes using Dexcom, using technology to help manage their diabetes, talking all through what it's like to be an athlete living with diabetes. We know that can be tough. So we're going to talk about all that today on this episode of the Taking Control of Your Diabetes podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dr. Jeremy Pettus, joined as always by my good friend and colleague,
Steve Edelman.
Steve, it is good to see you. So yeah, we're going to get into this topic, and it really is kind of a cool one of kind of utilizing athletes in the community, people that, you know, are living well with type 1 diabetes, to get out there and educate people that kind of they can do it too. I don't know about you when you were diagnosed, Steve, but there is always this assumption that when you're diagnosed that there's some limitations, things that you can't do or you won't be able to do. So it's always inspirational to meet other folks that are kind of doing these things and pushing the limits. Like, did people tell you couldn't be an endocrinologist?
Absolutely. They gave me a limit on my lifespan too. We won't even get into that, but things are different. I went to UCLA as an undergrad, and I didn't know a single soul with diabetes, and I certainly didn't play any sports, but I did play football in high school, and
it shows. You look really good. Well, if you're watching, Steve was just flexing, and you almost broke his shirt. So we're going to introduce the two folks that we're joined by today, Leo and Amber. They're two Dexcom Warriors and initial members of Dexcom U. So let's start with you, Leo. Say hi and just give us a quick background on who you are, type 1 diabetes, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Hi, my name is Leo Giannoni. I'm from Marietta, Georgia. I just finished my graduate year at Florida Gulf Coast University down in Fort Myers. I've had type 1 diabetes since my freshman year of college. So in January of 2021 was when I got diagnosed at 19.
Oh, wow. So you're still a newbie. Welcome to the team. You know, things are quite different. So I was diagnosed in 95, Steve in like 35, I think.
18.
That was what was it, 70?
1970, yeah.
Yeah, so things have changed dramatically, obviously, from the 70s to, actually from 1970 and 1995, not much changed, to be honest. But then from 95 till now, it's just been an explosion of all the different technology and things like that we have. So, Leo, thanks for joining us. And then we're going to throw it over to Amber, who we learned is in nursing school at work right now and hiding in a closet to do this podcast with us.
Hi, hello. Thanks for having me. My role as a nurse is I'm excited for it because a lot of people don't understand diabetes, and I hope to serve as an advocate there for sure.
So tell us, when were you diagnosed, and your college athlete career and all that?
Yes. So I was diagnosed. I would consider myself lucky because I was much younger than Leo. I was 7 years old, and I feel like I don't remember too much before that. So it's kind of just been a lifestyle for me. So I grew up homeschooled. I grew up playing rec soccer and finally made it to the big leagues. I went to Oregon State University for 2 years. And then I transferred to the University of Louisville in Kentucky. Never would have thought I'd be in Kentucky, but here we are, and it's been a great experience. I was lucky enough to be able to play soccer, as well as run track and field for the universities. So that was my goal coming out of high school. I wanted to do 2 sports, so I'm forever grateful for that experience. And I'm a part of Dexcom U because I have used Dexcom for the past 10 plus years of my life with multiple pump systems, and it's been a game changer for me. So that's why I'm a part of Dexcom U, as well as just the community it provides. But
wow, two sports. I mean, that's a lot of time, right? And you got to go to class, I imagine, at some point too. So work all that in.
But they say.
It's interesting. So you were diagnosed when you were 7, Leo, just a couple years ago. So you kind of went into sports knowing what you were dealing with. And Leo, you were kind of dealt this card a little bit, probably during maybe some of your peak years, and not that you haven't peaked yet, but you know what I mean? You were already an athlete and already doing this and then got type 1 diabetes. So I'm sure that was different experiences for you. But I want to ask, Amber, you said you feel lucky that you were diagnosed at 7. Like, why did you say that?
I don't know. I just feel like for me personally, I take change pretty hard, and so facing something like that at Leo's age or any time where um, I remember life before that, it would be really difficult. And I'll be honest with you, when I went into college, I kind of hit a period of burnout.
Totally.
I think because I've had it for so long. Um, and so you're like sitting there wondering what it's like to not have it. But so I don't know. It's all
Just you,
fun
yeah,
and
you don't remember
games.
the time before. I was diagnosed when I was 15. Steve was also. I honestly don't really remember being 14 and just like scarfing pizza, no problem. Like to me, it just feels like I've always kind of like dealt with this. I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, because I was in the dark ages. I was urine testing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a diabetes specialist, and certainly
But you
no,
remember like life before diabetes.
a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Amber, how long did it take after your diagnosis to get on to a Dexcom? Were you pricking your fingers for years, and how soon? Because I know the Dexcom has been available for at least 10, 15 years now.
Yeah, when I was young, when I first got it at 7, I didn't have a Dexcom or any CGM for multiple years. I tried the Medtronic one, and they just were not, they didn't work for me super well. I remember testing, if I saved up 1,000 strips or something like that, my parents would take me to Disneyland. That's how I remember, because we had all these used strip containers.
Oh, you mean saved used ones?
Yeah,
Like show that
yeah,
you've tested. I was like, why are you
Yeah,
saving strips?
why?
Like, yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
use enough strips, then they would get you a sensor?
No,
Take it
I keep
Disneyland.
it at
Oh, go to Disneyland. I was like, okay.
Well, did you
Yeah.
have a little red Sharpie that you took the new unused strips and, because we always find ways to get around that for sure.
I should have. I should have.
So how old were you when you think you got your first Dexcom?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think I was in high school. Well, yeah, maybe like 14.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember that far back.
And did
I
you
was
have
on
the?
the.
Do you remember what it was? My first one
I
was a
was.
7 Plus, like the big oval looking one. You might have been on like the G4 or the G5.
Yeah, I was on the G5. I
Okay.
remember that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, Leo?
E6.
Yeah.
I feel I got for when I first got my sensor, it was 2 days out of the hospital. So like
That's awesome.
yeah, that was a blessing for sure, just to be able to not have to. I mean, I was doing finger pricks and doing test strips the first couple days, but I was able to get put on with Dexcom, like with the training staff I had at my old school, and they were able to get me samples until I was able to get the contract with like just however you get it distributed.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that and be able to learn Dexcom from the moment I got type 1 diabetes.
That is great. And unfortunately, it's kind of rare.
Yeah.
Like still people will say like, you got to learn the ropes before you get a sensor. And that's ridiculous. And, I was just thinking, I always say that I calculated the other day that, I've probably tested my blood sugar 40 to 50,000 times in my life. I didn't save them all, Amber. I probably should have. I'd have like, I don't know, like, but anyways, the point is like now, like we can, I see people getting diagnosed in the hospital, getting a sensor. And these are people that are essentially never like prick their finger, like, I mean, of course you always have to.
That pisses me off, actually.
So like it just has been like such a game changer. But
Yeah.
I do want to talk about sports, and then I want to talk about Dexcom U specifically. So maybe Leo, tell us, because for you, like I said, you were already playing baseball. You got this diagnosis. What was like your response to it? Did you have moments of like, gosh, now I'm not going to be able to play baseball? Or was it always like, I still got this? And then how do you actually do it? You're playing this kind of like rigorous sport, controlling your blood sugars, all that.
Baseball's not that rigorous.
It depends.
It's not like, I mean,
No,
you sit
it's
on the
okay.
bench
It's
half the
not
time.
like soccer or track and field, but it's all right.
What,
It's like,
what position did you play?
Pitcher, which takes
Oh.
the rigor out of it. It's a lot less. I'm able to be more mindful of it. I feel like more so than the position players got to control it for 9 innings. I have to control it for the amount of innings I pitch per se, and that could vary. And I can come back in the dugout between innings and be able to look at it on my watch. There's some cool features that Dexcom has that allows me to be able to do that. But in terms of the transition, especially when I first got it, I mean, you're talking about the first 14 years of my life of playing baseball, basketball, etc., and I haven't had this to deal with. And so I think the major thing for me was just being able to maneuver my diet around it, because I have those memories when I'm in high school and I'm just eating terribly. Like, I mean, tons of sugar, lots of carbs, and even leading up to my first fall in college. But I mean, I got diagnosed right before our spring season, and that change really was like it kind of hit me like a brick, honestly. I didn't really handle it well. I ended up redshirting. I ended up taking my scholarship, and that's when I entered the transfer portal, and that was when I really had that realization moment, like, if I want to do this, I got to commit to this. And so to answer the question, I think the main thing that really helped me make that transition was my diet change. I already tracked my foods prior, but I really honed in on eating a clean and a healthy diet, being able to manage and be able to have a consistently good A1C, and allowing that to make me feel better as a result. And so that diet change really was instrumental in being able to kind of get my career back to where it was before the diagnosis, and be able to have it turn out to what it was, and still, hopefully, Lord willing, will continue to be. So,
Well, God, that's amazing. You know, you lost your scholarship but I'll tell you what you just said is so important, because you started good eating habits earlier than most people. Most people, they get to their 40s, 50s, they have a heart attack, or they get diagnosed of some cardiovascular condition. I always tell Jeremy, you got to start early, and it's possible that getting diabetes saved your life.
Well, this is
very true.
You know, something that I always say, and you guys should know this also, is that there's data now that people with type 1 diabetes actually are living longer than people without diabetes. And when Steve and I were diagnosed, they literally told us, like, you guys lost 15 years off your life, which is just mean to say, first of all. And now it's absolutely not true. But, you know, we think a lot of the reasons why is things like this, that, you know, you're more conscious of your health in general, your diet, your exercise.
Yep.
You might, see a doctor more regularly, so you catch high blood pressure, cholesterol, all these things. So the point for the listeners and for you guys is that there are some benefits of all this extra work and, time that we put into this. So I want to ask something specific we'll start with you, Leo, because we're on you. So sometimes I'll hear people say that they're athletes, or even if they're at work for 8 hours or something, they'll say, well, I don't really want to deal with my blood sugars. I don't want to go low, so I'll just ride 220 all day long. Is that your philosophy, or have you found a way that you can actually maintain good blood sugars while doing these kind of rigorous things? And does that affect your performance at all? How do you kind of manage during the event?
100%. So basically, I try to have a really good, say if it's like a 6:30, 7 o'clock game, which is kind of the rhythm I'm in now, I'll have a really good lunch around 2 o'clock and just keep an eye on it as the game approaches, and stay in that. Probably don't want it to go too low, like you mentioned. You don't, but I'm in the 120 to 140 range. I try to stick in that range if at all possible, and be able to do that while going through my routine, warming up, all of that. And to answer the question, it impacts performance a ton. If I'm riding the 220s, 250s, it can impact my vision, especially as a pitcher when you want to have good focus on the target. If your vision is somewhat blurry or impaired because you're at a high glucose level, that's big for me. And so I really try to keep an eye to maintain it. And it's a blessing in that fact that I'm a pitcher and I'm able to watch it during the game. I'm able to keep it on my watch and look at it more so than your typical position player who's on and off the field.
If you got blurry vision, you can't hit the other batter.
You'd be surprised. I have my fair share of hit batters.
I know you guys do that on purpose. Don't give me that.
So, I mean, do you just keep Skittles in one of your pockets or something like that? Or you're able to go back to the dugout if you see you're dipping kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'll usually have some in my locker because my locker it's usually been close to my dugout in my career, so I'll have some in the locker room, or I'll have like you said, some Skittles or some kind of candy or in a granola bar. If like I have a low episode where I'm in the 50 to 60 range, I'll have Skittles, and then that's something to maintain it.
Yeah.
Because like the impact of throwing and warming up and everything it'll be more so like you're running or getting up for the first time in a day. It's not like strength training where you can kind of go up. It can
Yeah.
kind of have that lowering effect. And so I really have to keep an eye on, especially as I'm getting closer to game time when I'm warming up, throwing, getting the body moving. And I'm sure Amber it's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot tougher for her given the sport she plays to maintain that. So I'm curious, but
Well, I want to. Yeah, let's talk to you, Amber. How's it going? So first of all, if I can ask, do you wear a pump? Do either of you wear a pump, or you don't? Amber, do you?
Yeah, I wear an Omnipod. Yep.
Okay. So this comes up a lot when I see patients. They'll say, gosh, I play like some kind of sport and, I can't wear these devices. I can't wear a pump or a CJAM because I get hit, like I get bumped or it might fall off. And, I always say that there's ways to kind of figure this out. There's literally like professional football players and stuff that, wear these devices. So let's start with like, how do you actually wear these things during these like, these physical events? And then from there, how you manage yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, my Dexcom, I've never had a problem with it because it's so small that even if I'm like slide tackling or something like that, I've really not had that many problems with it. The Omnipod is a little bit bigger, so that one's tricky. I wrap it with some like athletic tape whenever I go out for practice because I sweat a lot.
Yeah.
And so that is tricky.
You wear it on your arm
I do,
and you
yes.
just wrap it. Okay.
Yeah. And I've gone through many things over the years. I mean, I made my own sports bra to try to hold my T-slim. I've made like a little belt thing and tried a bunch of different things. But right now, the Omnipod's working best for me, and so I just wrap it on. Yeah.
Cool. And what about maybe a slightly different topic to ask you, Amber? What about reactions in general from teammates, coaches? I'm sure that's probably evolved over time also. I mean, is it generally kind of this is something you deal with and other people don't know about, or are people very aware and they, help you with, I don't know, snacks and stuff like that, making that available? And what's your kind of take on how to involve other people or not?
hmm that's a good one. I personally grew up, I didn't have a great endocrinologist. I'm from a very small town, and so the nearest one was a few hours away, and I'm not even sure I'd say they were great, but we made it through. And so I feel like
Don't mention the name, whatever you do.
yeah, no,
Steve
no.
Edelman.
No, I wish. No, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is I haven't had the best educational background with diabetes. And so I wish that I would have had a little bit more. Um, and everyone in my life so far has not really had a lot of diabetic education. I mean, I haven't had one athletic trainer that knew what it was. And all these people are like, at the Dexcom U, some of them have like family members who have it or athletic trainers who know what they're doing with it, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Because I have not had that,
Well,
and it's okay. But
have you ever worried, either of you, that, if your coach knew, let's say at this level or the next, that maybe they wouldn't, hire you or pick you, or that this is, limiting in some way? Or have you found that at all? Or is it the opposite, that, you just kind of deal with it and this is not an issue?
I mean, it seems like Leo has faced that, which is really extremely sad and challenging. Me personally, I have not, besides in matches, I would never tell my coach that my numbers were off unless I absolutely couldn't play, because that would give her any slight reason to pull me out. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I would face that internal fear that I have to make sure my numbers are good and on track, so that I don't get pulled. But externally, they're always very, it's okay, diabetes, whatever you got to do, we're here for it.
And what about you, Leo?
I mean, I think especially when we were talking about earlier on when I got diagnosed and I ended up losing my scholarship. I mean, I always like to. I don't want to speak on the mindset of what that coach was at that time. I'd like to think 'cause I didn't perform. I didn't perform to the best I could, in all things considered. And so, I mean, I'm putting that on me. But my trainers at that school, Mercer University, were extremely good. That's the ones who seamlessly put me on Dexcom. They helped me with it. They were on the follow app with me, seeing my levels, keeping up with me. Extremely good training staff.
Wow.
But as I transferred to Columbus State for 3 years and then the Florida Gulf Coast, both coaching staffs were excellent with it, accommodating, accepting. I told them both because I want them to know more so than anything. I want them to know, like, hey, this is something that I have, something that I deal with, but it's something that I can also perform excellently under.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to do that. But in terms of my training staffs moving on, I've kind of taken it on myself. I didn't really want them to be following my glucose levels the entire time. I wanted to be able to kind of manage it myself, have my parents follow it if need be, and just really take it on myself because I knew I was going to have to do that if I wanted to have success. Because if I'm off doing summer ball, something like this, or going off playing wherever professionally, if that happens, just being able to be accountable for it, and have full control over it, moving forward.
Well, let me
So
ask you something specific because I am a baseball guy. There's a couple pitchers in the MLB that have type 1 diabetes. This guy, Mason Miller on the A's, who's just amazing. Does that help? You know, like when your coaches or somebody asks you about it, like, well, you know, look at this guy. He's, you know, like one of the best pitchers around and he has type 1 diabetes, or does that not matter?
it's nice to have examples to refer to, being like, hey, there's no limitations to this. I mean, this guy throws 104 miles an hour, and he's one of the best closers in the MLB.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have those examples, being like, okay, this is the ceiling. But I think it's cool. Just that it shows that no matter where you are in terms of your diabetes, so like you can do whatever. It's not a limitation. I think it does help, but it's also been helpful because when I first got diagnosed, I reached out to a former MLB pitcher. He played for I think the Padres and the Dodgers, Brandon Morrow.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him, and he gave me all sorts of tips and tricks. Just with that.
Yeah, and then you know, locally, probably our best pitcher on the Padres, his name is Michael King. His wife has type 1 diabetes, and they have a foundation, you know, King of the Hill. Mm-hmm. So you know, if you reach out to that guy, like that might be cool. But Steve, maybe ask him about Dexcom U, because honestly, I don't know anything about it. So
well, it sounds like it's elite group of college athletes that
elite strike force
that wear a Dexcom, and you know the program is small. So what is unique about you that makes you?
Yeah, well, tell us what it is, Amber, or in like maybe how you heard about it, how you got, I don't know, recruited, and what it is.
Yeah, I think it's both empowering us as diabetic athletes in the universities because it is a smaller population, and Dexcom U just empowers us to have a platform to speak on, as well as be advocates for social media, but also through the camps that they host, which we had one in San Diego last year. It was super awesome. I still talk to two of the kids that I met there. We're kind of paired up with kids there, and they are awesome. I still text them and stuff. So I think it kind of goes both ways. They give us an opportunity to advocate, and we get to advocate. And yeah.
So it's like a physical place you went, like you know, that they kind of gave you education around like different things and then sent you back out in the community to be advocates. Like, how did it actually work? Or is it more like a conceptual university? Or kind of walk us through that, I suppose.
Go ahead, Amber. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. Okay. I think it's more of I wouldn't say it's like a university.
Right.
Um, I don't know, Leo. You go.
No, of course. I think it's more of just like it's kind of like a platform. So they're able to we're able like it's a part of the whole NIL initiative, right? And so we're able to have that kind of partnership with them, but it's allowing us to kind of advocate and have a platform in order to share these messages about type 1 diabetes and use it as so that people like you are now aware, like, hey, this is a possibility that anyone, like, there's no boundaries to what type 1 diabetics can do. And so I feel like it's just more of an empowerment tool so that we're able to kind of share our word, share our message to the world in terms of college athletes and diabetic college athletes who have diabetes, rather.
Just like the professional player that reached out to you, you're now doing it for people younger than you. So yeah, you guys are great role models. And correct me if I'm wrong, you are folks that have been trained, to do public speaking and to say things that are on label and not say crazy things, and then go out to all the different venues, from camps to podcasts to, other type of, platforms. So, and you as a special group of people that have had that training, and they keep you pretty busy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that they are very consistent in reaching out with opportunities. And I think it's really cool, and I think it also allows us to kind of do stuff on our own initiative. Given that it's a social media platform now that we're being given, we're able to post on our stories, make these posts, and just share about just the abilities that Dexcom can give you in terms of the ease in terms of being able to check your glucose levels and manage your diabetes better, as well as be able to just share the platform you're on with collegiate sports. So it's a good mix, and you're able to really take full advantage of the opportunity you have being a type 1 diabetic in college athletics. So
do you have like a shirt or a hat that says Dexcom U? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Make diabetes great again, or something like that.
I want a Dexcom U hat or shirt. That sounds good.
Well, they had towels at one point. Remember?
Okay.
They gave them
Just so you guys have swag. That's good to know. We can get
Oh
some
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, green.
Green, yeah.
So, and then what about you personally? I imagine if I was you and I got selected for this thing, like maybe you learn from each other and you're like, I got to tighten up my own game here with my blood sugars, or like maybe I should try this new pump or other things. Have it affected you kind of personally?
Yeah, for me, I mean, that's exactly what happened. I got there, and before I had met almost maybe one diabetic athlete before. And so I think just being around, these 20 people that are playing elite sports at this level, I learned so much from them. And it was also an incentive. I was like, wow, these guys are killing it. They're crushing it. And they have diabetes also, so I have no excuse. I gotta go get my button gear. So I think it was an incentive for me, but also, we just get to learn from each other. I mean, I still text them every time I got a question. I'm like, hey, are you using this type of insulin? Like, has it worked for you? So yeah, it's been awesome.
Real quickly, I think what you guys are also doing is you're sort of educating the coaches, the collegiate coaches and staff of the world, because yours, Leo, have been very understanding, and that's awesome. But I think that's a little bit less common than other universities. So you guys are forging, the path for future athletes that are coming up from high school. So, more power to you.
Yeah,
it's been cool because sorry to kind of go into it, but at my prior school where I got my undergraduate degree at Columbus State, when I transferred out, another guy was recruited from high school who's also a type 1 diabetic, and I'm sure it helped them in terms of just understanding that it's not a barrier. And two, just knowing that for their sake and the recruiting sake, that they're coaches that understand what it's like to have an athlete who has diabetes, which is easy for the parents. Especially of a high school kid going off to college for the first time. Like that's going to be, I'm sure it puts the parents of that kid at ease knowing that these coaches are experienced with that. So
totally.
Yeah. And I love this program because you guys are very real, yes, you've done these remarkable things with, college sports. But But what's typical is like, we've been to like these conferences over the years and things like that, is they'll drag out some guy, and God bless him, that's like climbed Mount Everest or something and has type 1 diabetes. And you can kind of be left with like, well, that's good for him or her, but they're like a superhuman and I can't achieve that, like something like that. So just like more real world, we like to do sports, but most of us are not going to go on to be professional athletes or climb Mount Everest. So how do we, do these things that we enjoy? How do we excel at them while living with type 1 diabetes? And so I think that's, awesome that you guys are literally poster children for kind of that message.
Totally.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, don't worry. Well, that was my brother who climbed Mount Everest. So
no problem.
You know what? Jeremy's right. That's an extreme event. But if you think about it, we want to promote exercise, sports, whether you're playing on your softball team from people at work or collegiate athletes, and you always got to control your blood sugar. So we're all athletes in a way, and just depends what level you're at. And if you can control your blood sugars during exercise, you can probably do anything with diabetes.
Yeah. So, I would say, kind of starting to wrap this up, that it's been really great meeting you guys. And it always is nice to hear people's different journeys. Again, Amber, you've had it for, since you were a little kid. Leo, just like, your experiences now. I always say there's no good time to get type 1 diabetes, whether you're, a little kid or you're 45 or 65. It's always life changing. So you guys have clearly, turned this into something positive, and that's a big message for us, here at TCOID. It's, Steve and I are not athletes, but we used type 1 diabetes in a different way.
Hey, speak for yourself. I don't get that.
Yeah, he played high school football. I forgot. We used it to empower ourselves or impassion ourselves, I suppose, to go into medicine and help people kind of in that way. So,
but I do think we say there's never been a better time to have diabetes.
No, for sure.
Although I agree with Jeremy, getting diabetes is not the best thing in the world to happen to you, but at least we can do something about it now.
Yeah. Well, Steve literally gets mad, like when he hears about people getting Dexcoms right out of the hospital. He's jealous is the right word.
I had to pee on a stick, for God's sake.
So kind of wrapping up, Leo, Amber, anything you want to like leave people with, or whether it's, kids going to college or athletes or anything you kind of want to sign off with? I guess, Amber, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd first just like to say that Dexcom is awesome. So if you need a CGM, go to them. And then I'd like to say that I think diabetes is a very personal journey, and it's not going to look the same for everyone. And so I think that we should be very open to creating our own paths for ourselves. You might find something that works that someone else doesn't. And so just embracing that is good, I guess what I'm trying to say. And to not let it stop you, but to forge your own path and make it work.
Love it.
Well said.
How about you, Leo?
I mean, I think I always tell people all the time, because I've had a lot of encounters just in collegiate athletics where, like, dang, that sucks that you got diagnosed. Like, I bet like you kind of missed life before, like not to that demeaning tone, rather, but just like,
can you eat candy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think just it's like you guys said, like I think it really helped get my diet, get my health right back on track. I kind of see it as a blessing. It's a huge part of my testimony, is like how impactful diabetes has been on my life, and just being able to meet people like Amber, have this great connection with other diabetic athletes, and that I would have not had if I never got diagnosed. So I think there's a reason for getting diagnosed, and I think there's just been a lot of positives on the back end of that, and I'm just grateful. I mean, I think it's been a great journey to have and continue to have beyond athletics. So.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing your story. And I didn't know about this Dexcom U thing, so I'm glad to learn about it, and really do think it's a good initiative. So. I was going to say thanks to everybody for listening, but Steve, you want to sign off?
Yeah, thanks for doing what you do. And I should say that ever since I had my first CGM, it's been a Dexcom all the way up to today. And I owe a lot of my diabetes control to Dexcom for leading the field in CGM. We have others out there. They're good. But Dexcom was the leader. And thank you guys for getting out there in the public and helping other kids and young adults to get into sports and do well.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. And thanks everybody for listening or watching. And we hope to see you or you hear us on the next one. Take care.